Hey, Kyle, is wonderful here again with another wrestling review. This time it's NXT Level Up from June 17th, 2022. And this is one of the more shorter shows that I watch each week, so this shouldn't take too long. Every episode of NXT Level Up features three matches and really no other storylines or promos. The Level Up show is purely, just as it says, a forum for the extreme rookies and new recruits to gain experience and quote unquote level up their characters. So I like the concept, and whoever came up with that idea is pretty cool. So mostly I'm big into making sure my universe mode is the deepest as far as NXT in the world. So I study these level up shows as far as all the new outfits and the new move sets that all the new recruits have. So big show for me each week. And if you watch my big almost 3 hour long extravaganza NXT 2.0 review. I talked a lot about everybody here that's on that level up. I went through the entire roster all the way down through the performance center. I talked about everybody. I also talked about the two NXT live events that happened last weekend, as well as breaking down last week's NXT 2.0 episode on TV. So a big, beefy 2.5 hour, 3 hour NXT 2.0 discussion I just had on Tuesday. So go check that out if you're a big fan of NXT. I left. I did mention in that video on NXT 2.0 where I went through everybody that I was trying to wait for more people in the community creations of WWE 2K22 to create some of the newer people so that I can get them in the game. But I was tired of waiting, so I did break down. I stayed up all night. I think it was Thursday night maybe, and I created Damaris Griffin. I created Sol Ruka, the only female that hasn't debuted from her class yet. Also, the two guys that debuted at the live event, Hank Walker and Myles Borne, who we get to see tonight in his debut match on Level Up. So I was glad that I got all those guys released. I put all of them up on the community creations. Just search my name, Kyle is Wonderful. You can also search Kyle N. Kane, the letter N. Both of those should work. But if you just type in NXT, you'll also see them there. I've got everybody except Myles Borne up. I have heard in the past that Myles Borne looks like a young Randy Orton, so I just took somebody else's that created a young Randy Orton, but it didn't quite look like Randy Orton, just a little bit, and I used that one to create my Myles Borne, which then meant I couldn't then put him on the community creations because I was just altering somebody else's. But the Sol Ruka, the Damaris Griffin, and the Hank Walker creations are up on the for PS5 at least, I should say, and go check those out now. I put them up there with custom renders as well. So let's get into tonight's NXT Level Up show. These are on the Peacock app. If you're here in America like me, you can also find them on the WWE Network. As far as the rules for um, how you can watch this show for in America at least is if you can watch Level Up live at 10 p.m. Friday Eastern right after SmackDown. So as soon as SmackDown ends, you can watch NXT Level Up live on Peacock. If you do not watch it live, it then goes over to Hulu for a month. So if you don't watch NXT Level Up live on Peacock, you then have to watch it on Hulu, where they add highlights from Raw and turn it from a half-hour show to a full hour show, and you get ads during the commercials and stuff. And then after a month of being on Hulu, Level Up comes back to the WWE Network, or for me, it's Peacock. So these are the rules that's in at least in America. So I always make sure to watch Level Up live, so I don't have to then go over to Hulu and watch the hour version with all the ads. And that means I always record on my DVR Rampage. So then, right after I watch SmackDown, I watch NXT Level Up live, and then I watch Rampage and skip through the commercials. So I've already put up my reviews for tonight's SmackDown and AEW Rampage. You can find those on the page. I wanted to keep all my reviews separate. If you remember last week on the flagship program, the Wonderful Wrestling Podcast, I reviewed all three of these shows as well as Impact and NXT UK together on that flagship show. But I want to now make it so that the flagship show is just an overall look at the week in wrestling, whether it be the news or in general, a bigger picture look at all the promotions. So that's what the flagship show will be going forward. I did release the second episode about 20 hours ago, so you can go check that out. I talk all about Jeff Hardy, Vince McMahon, Sasha Banks, and the week that was in wrestling. So go check that out. I also put out a breaking news earlier today when we found out that Vince McMahon indeed is stepping down as CEO, at least temporarily. The new interim CEO is Stephanie McMahon, who left the company a month ago and now has returned. So a lot of news happening, but these NXT Level Up shows, I believe not only are they always taped beforehand, Level Up's never live, it's always recorded, but I think these are from 2 weeks ago. So nothing here that was affected by anything with the Vince McMahon stuff or anything like that. We just got three matches here with a debut and a bunch of the lower level members who are just starting out. So a lot to look forward here. Let's get into it. Our first thing we see when Level Up starts is all the Andre Chase University music hits. All three members of Chase U are out, and we're told that Thea Hale's going to wrestle. So Thea Hale, accompanied by Andre Chase himself, that's her teacher, and maybe he's the dean. And then Bodie Hayward is the star pupil, and I think he's like part of the football team or whatever. So they're accompanying Thea Hale here. She's had a few matches on Level Up before. In the past, she was wearing like Spartan inspired gear. She had Spartan blood in her. Her family comes from Greece and Sparta in particular. And instead of the Spartan inspired outfit, she now has all decked out in Chase U type stuff. But it's pretty cool looking gear, and it's not just a prototypical looking cheerleader outfit either, which I was kind of assuming that was the route they were going to go. So it was really good to see that Thea Hill didn't have a cheerleader outfit on here. And her outfit looked amazing, like really good looking outfit here with Chase U all over it. So Arianna Grace is going to be her opponent. That is Santino Morella's daughter, and she hasn't been able to get very much wins. I think she only has one win on Level Up, a couple losses on Level Up, and of course losing the Nikita Lyons in the breakout tournament first round. So not a lot of luck so far for Ariana Grace. She comes out to some pretty good, cool music, and her hair is now up. She's got it up in like a top knot, just like Ariana Grande does. So clearly, Ariana Grace going for Ariana Grande vibes here. And I must say, just personally, I preferred her hair down as opposed to being up like that. She looked like a completely different person. And that's neither here nor there. But Ariana Grande, or see, now that she has her, I wasn't calling her Ariana Grande before, but now that her hair's like that, so she's got a clear, she wants us to think she's like Ariana Grande thing going. Ariana Grace, she's got her butt cheeks covered up a lot more this week, which it's neither here nor there. It's women can do whatever they want with their body, but it was slightly distracting. Like she's got a pretty big booty, and a lot of it was hanging out before. This one's a little more covered up and contained, so that I can try and focus on these grappling moves they're trying to do. So just like I said there, we start out with some grappling, pretty decent grapplings for some beginners here, not too bad. And even with the Chase U student section in the crowd, it still seems like it's kind of split for Ariana Grace and Thea Hale. The crowd likes both. I think Ariana Grace is supposed to be working as a heel here. Doesn't really cheat or anything too much. You'll see that a lot in Level Up where people are undefined if they're heel or face. They're kind of just trying to learn the basics at this point. So we get some solid, I'm not going to call it good, but some solid grappling, beginner style grappling between the two here. Ariana Grace works the arm. So Thea, I think while Thea was selling her arm here, while the actual holds were being applied, Thea was being a little bit too theatrical with her selling, a little too over the top. So not really natural selling here, but I will give Thea Hale credit. She continues to sell the arm later on in the match, even when she's doing her comeback spot, which is something that a lot of 15-year veterans don't do. So good to see there that Thea Hale was selling her arm even after this point in time. We get a nasty like arm locked DDT at one point that's really seemed to I'm not going to say Thea Hill was concussed, but it definitely woke her up and the way she sold it looked a lot more natural than the other selling, which told me like I think she was actually hurt. Not hurt, but you know what I mean. Like that stunned her a little bit, getting her face slammed into the mat. I've been there before. I was in an amateur wrestling match against the biggest or the most muscle kid in our school. I was his weight, but mine wasn't muscle, if you know what I'm saying. And I got basically DDT'd right to the mat, and it is not fun. So she was a little shooken up from there, but I don't think she was concussed or anything serious like that. Hopefully not. Thea Hale fires up and continues to sell her arm, like I was saying. So great stuff there. Hope that continues in her arsenal where people actually remember to sell stuff. Some nice power submissions by Arianna Grace, who's using her size. She's I'm not going to say double the size of Thea Hale, but much larger than Thea Hale is Arianna Grace. Arianna Grace counters into a roll up the win out of after all that. So Thea Hill working as the plucky underdog babyface gets the roll up win here. Arianna Grace continues to lose. I'm assuming maybe they're just trying to not I don't think humble her is the exact words, but I think WWE has big or NXT in general has big plans for Arianna Grace, and they just don't want her to get too big in her head too quickly, if you know what I'm trying to say. So I think Arianna Grace is kind of racking up a lot of losses here in the beginning of her career, only because she's going to become a big star pretty soon. And a lot of people do not watch Level Up, so people aren't watching these losses, and they'll never know that she had a bunch of losses on Level Up. But anyway, again, she changed her look to look more like Ariana Grace, or Ariana Grande. Wasn't a big fan of that, but her outfit tonight looked a lot better than her normal outfit. And again, Thea Hale's outfit looked amazing, and great job on the selling of the arm. A little bit awkward on the roll up win out of nowhere. Not my favorite finish to a match, but again, we're talking about a plucky underdog babyface and probably her only second or third match on the NXT roster. So next we get Guru Raaj, and Guru Raaj is been getting some more time. We've seen him on regular NXT be a jobber. He's the very lowest end of the totem pole, or at least he was, because now we've got some new recruits coming in. So Guru Raj has been like the lowest guy on the card, hasn't won a match yet. But we did notice, or at least I noticed and told you guys on the review, Guru Raj has gotten a little bit of a makeover. His gear is now went from like plain black trunks to more of like something that Austin Theory looks like what he would wear. So Guru Raj looking pretty good, shaved a little bit, maybe got a haircut. So he looks to be primed to maybe getting his first ever push. And Guru Raj is going to fight against the debuting Myles Borne. Myles Borne is the guy that everybody, when he first got signed, is like, oh my gosh, he looks like a young Randy Orton. So the announcers even bring up when Myles Borne's making his entrance, everybody's been calling him the blonde Orton or the young Orton or the young Viper, Viper Jr. So stuff like that. Of course, when you're compared to someone like Randy Orton, that's a lot of pressure. So we'll see how Myles Borne deals with the pressure. But what Myles Borne does have going for him is he's a folk style amateur wrestler basically his entire life. So he's not very old, but he's got like 17 years of experience or like 15 years of experience in folk style amateur wrestling, which I'm not exactly sure what folk style means, but I'm guessing it's has to do with the different holds and if you can grab people below the waist or stuff like that. But a really good amateur wrestler here. They bring that up as well. I knew all this beforehand. Like I said, I'm an NXT nerd when it comes to the Performance Center people. And so I knew all this. And I know that they didn't mention this, but he's from Wilmington, North Carolina. And like I said, Myles Borne made his debut over the weekend in a live show. He was going to fight another debuting wrestler, also from the Wilmington, North Carolina area, Hank Walker. And those two's match was quickly interrupted by Von Wagner, who beat up both of them. And then Hank Walker said he was going to fight Von Wagner in a one-on-one match. So we saw Myles Borne, but only briefly over the weekend. I knew enough to, from what I saw, to make his outfit, and I made his outfit pretty much exactly how it should have been. I just have to add a knee pad and a shoulder pad. He only wears the knee pad and the shoulder pad on the left side, and no knee pad and no shoulder or elbow pad, I mean, on the right side, which was a pretty interesting look. But I got to remember that when I do. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about when I'm trying to make the most accurate NXT in the entire world for universe mode. So anyway, like I said, Guru Raj with his new makeover is going to fight the debuting Myles Borne, and they bring up how he looks like young Randy Orton. I can kind of see it, but I don't see it that much. I mean, in some of the pictures he looks like it, but like him coming out here tonight, I didn't like see it per se. And I thought Miles Borne might have been a little bit more bigger and muscular, but he looked like maybe he trimmed down a little bit, or maybe just um is a little more cut now. So we'll find we'll watch his progression as he goes. This is his debut match, as far as on TV. Miles Borne out to some pretty good cheers, so the crowd knows him. Maybe these guys have matches that are dark matches that don't even get reported about sometimes. I don't know, but the crowd seems to know him. Maybe they were at the live event, or they just cheer anybody that's making their debut. We don't know. But anyway, Nigel says he really thinks that Miles Borne has the potential to become a big star in the so a lot of pressure being put on Miles Borne. They're comparing him to Randy Orton, and they're already saying he has the potential for a big star before he had his first match on TV. So a ton of pressure coming into this from Miles Borne. Miles Borne looked pretty natural in the ring, I would say, and they also give Guru Raj some pretty good props, but they also talk about all the great Indian wrestlers of the past. So again, putting pressure on Guru Raj as well, comparing him to all the other great Indian wrestlers there's been even back in the 60s and 70s. So another good display of grappling, beginner style grappling, but a little bit more intermediate. You can definitely tell that Miles Borne knows how to grapple. And for the second match in a row, we get someone working on the arm. So Borne's now selling his arm, and he sells his arm during the comeback. So good job by the recruits tonight. They remember to sell their arm after the fact. Let's see if they can continue to do that when they're not. Clearly, there was a directive tonight for people to sell the arm and then continue to sell the arm. It's easy to do when that's the goal of the match, but once you learn a bunch of other stuff and you're a year or two into your career, then you might start thinking that you don't forgetting about the sell the arm stuff. Anyway, they tell us that Miles Borne's father unfortunately passed away last year, so he's been dedicating all this in honor of his father, just along the same lines as Cameron Grimes. So maybe we'll find a common ground here between those two. Both are North Carolina boys, so potentially we could see Miles Borne and Cameron Grimes seeing stuff being cut from the same cloth, so to speak, as Wardlow said on Dynamite. Anyway, a lot more offense than usual for Guru Raj. So just like I expected with the whole makeover, the new outfit, and the announcers talking him up big here. Looks like Guru Raj is finally out of that extreme jobber where you don't even get offense type guy to way more offense from Guru Raj than I've ever seen. Guru Raj actually gets the win in this match. So, like I said, good displays of grappling from Miles Borne and good selling as well. But Guru Raj wins after a haluva kick into a middle rope. It looked like it was like a black bulldog, but it was more of a face buster. He didn't really lock his arm around him, but Guru Raj wins with the haluva kick and the middle rope bulldog. First ever win for Guru Raj after many tries, and I've seen most of his matches, so it's been quite a few matches that Guru Raj has lost leading up to this point. Good to see that someone can graduate out of that lowest spot. Miles Borne has a lot, like they said, potential in him. Miles Borne taking over that very bottom spot for now, so I don't suspect that Miles Borne will be in the very bottom of the depth chart for very long. Then we're told we got a big main event tonight. This match is a legit big main event for Level Up because this match could easily be on the NXT 2.0 card, and it probably should have been. I would have much preferred to see this card on NXT 2.0 last week, and it's Elektra Lopez versus Ivy Nile in the main event. And the reason I say that is it was awkward that Elektra Lopez hasn't been seen on NXT 2.0 television for 2 weeks now, ever since Legado del Fantasma had to join the Tony D'Angelo family. So to me, I was like, is Elektra hurt? Or like, what is she not part of this deal? But nope. We find out right away when Elektra Lopez comes out for her match here. She's got Legado del Fantasma with them, but she's also got Stacks and Two Dimes. Stacks and Two Dimes tell the rest of Legado del Fantasma to go to the back, and noticeably absent was Tony D'Angelo. But Stacks and Two Dimes are going to accompany Elektra Lopez for this match instead of Legado del Fantasma, which is an interesting. And I like that they further along a little bit of storyline here on Level Up, which we don't get very often. So Stacks and Two Dimes is going to be the only ones to accompany Elektra Lopez. She's not very happy about it. The ring announcer even says, representing Tony D'Angelo's family, Elektra Lopez. So she's not happy about any of this. Ivy Now's out now, and she's just lost her first singles match last week's NXT UK to Meiko Sadamoto. They call her the final boss of NXT UK, so no harm in losing that match by Ivy Nile. Her first singles match loss, only her second career loss. She lost in the Dusty Classic thanks to Tatum Paxley, who we saw them. They are still teasing a storyline and maybe a return to teaming between Ivy Nile and Tatum Paxley. That was over on NXT 2.0 this week. So Ivy comes out wearing like a different colored version of the Diamond Mine logo, which looked pretty cool. I've never seen this. So like the normally the parts that are white in the Diamond Mine logo were yellow, and then the normally dark blue parts were light blue. So that caught me a little bit off guard, but it looked pretty cool. New Diamond Mine logo variant. And she wore that as her ring gear. She's got pretty good ring gear. I mean, Ivy now, I love Ivy now's look, how she's like petite and small, but also has like really huge muscles at the same time. Like the combination of the two is just amazing. And I pretty much like her just because of that cool body style. But she's also got some pretty good in-ring moves. She seems to be willing to train hard and listen and take coaching and direction. So Ivy now could become a big star. Unfortunately, I was thinking she was like 25 years old, but she's 30 years old. Not to say 30 is old, but you know what I mean. A lot of these other girls in NXT, they called what's her name? They called Indy Hartwell a veteran, and then made fun of her because Indy Hartwell's only 25. So the rest of the girls here, or I say girls because they're young, but women, I mean 18, 19, and 20 years old. So Ivy now a little bit older than I would have hoped for. Still, Ivy now could have a spot in this business for the next decade. Definitely, she just looks like a superstar for sure. Elektra Lopez also looks like a star. So again, that's why I'm like, oh, this is a good main event for Level Up. Two people that I think could be legitimate stars in the women's division going forward for the next decade. Elektra Lopez needs some more. She's probably a little bit greener than Ivy. Ivy's developed into a little bit more of a style, but Elektra Lopez does use her size well. She's a lot bigger than Ivy now in this match. So that's kind of the story of this match. Like I said, Elektra's out there with Stacks and Two Dimes, and she doesn't want to be, but she is, and she wanted Legado del Fantasma, but they got sent to the back, and Elektra, like I said, uses her size early to maintain advantage and basically uses her sides throughout the entire match. And Elektra talks trash to Two Dimes and Stacks at a point. So she's really not happy about this whole thing. Ivy now is getting beat up way more than we're ever used to seeing. So I'm guessing this was the goal of this match for Ivy Nile was to test her selling abilities. So Ivy Nile did a pretty good job of selling throughout this match. Like I said, Elektra dominates mostly through her size advantage. They note that both the announcers note that both of these competitors are undefeated on Level Up, which is pretty interesting. So big time Level Up main event here, and we get that Dragon Sleeper. The modified Dragon Sleeper out of nowhere. That is the finisher of Ivy Nile. It's like a regular Dragon Sleeper, but she interlocks her arms behind her back to really crank it in when she's just got these giant muscly arms. So Lopez lasts a lot longer than a lot of people, but is eventually forced to tap. There was no way to break the strength, almost like a master lock type deal, but in a Dragon Sleeper form. So big stuff here by Ivy. Big win, I meant to say. Good selling. Most of the match was to test Ivy's selling and probably test Elektra Lopez's offense. So good job overall. Enjoyable match. And we close NXT Level Up with Nigel McGuinness, one of the announcers, saying that the Don's not going to be happy with Elektra. So potentially something we could see play out on NXT 2.0, which means there might be a rare thing on Level Up that translates over to the real show. So a little bit of storyline tonight. The other two matches were about selling arms and getting Guru Raj and Myles Borne a little bit of a shine. And I really like the new outfit on Thea Hale. So, as far as Thea Hale goes, I'm pretty sure we're only going to get her full time for the next month and a half or so, and then she will start real life college, where she's already mentioned on TV that she's going to be allowed to attend college and train with NXT as well. We're not sure quite yet what that means, but she'll probably be on more of a part time basis after the next 6 weeks or so. So I expect we'll see Thea Hale a lot in the next 6 weeks, and then we won't see her quite as much. But maybe it'll be a deal where she didn't take any Tuesday, maybe even Wednesday classes, so that Thea Hale can drive or get to, and maybe she's just going to college at like UCF there in Orlando, so that she's just living in Orlando and can get to the performance center at any point. So something to look into there. She's only 18 years old, so one of the big prospects on the roster, unlike a Roxanne Perez, who's already almost a finished product that you can put on the main roster right now. Thea Hale's more of a prospect. And a lot of good stuff to look forward to. I'll be back for NXT 2.0 on Tuesday, of course. You're probably not going to find people doing longer and more in-depth reviews of NXT 2.0. Like for example, all the other NXT 2.0 podcasts I listened to, not one of them knew that guy that was in the diner with Apollo Crews was the guy that debuted on the live show as Hank Walker. And we don't know if he was playing the Hank Walker character or if this was just him being an extra because they needed a body. But you could say that Hank Walker made his debut on NXT 2.0, and I was able to point that out for all of you people, but nobody else on the internet cares enough about NXT 2.0 to tell you those kind of things. So that's the kind of good stuff you'll be getting from me. I'll be back in maybe 6, 7, or 8 hours with the New Japan review. New Japan has a show tonight, and I'll be here to let you know what happens. Slammiversaries are also this weekend on Sunday, the big 20th anniversary for Impact Wrestling. A lot of rumors of big names showing up, including maybe WWE giving TNA a favor for WWE letting Mickie James carry the Impact title out during the Royal Rumble. Potentially, maybe we could get someone like AJ Styles showing up to Slammiversary. So I'll be here to let you guys know what happens on that as well. Go check out the flagship podcast, the Wonderful Wrestling Podcast. I released that about 22 hours ago, talking about Vince McMahon, Jeff Hardy, Sasha Banks, all the latest news. I also did a breaking news edition earlier with the news of Vince McMahon stepping down as CEO, at least on an interim basis. So a lot of news going on. If any more news, big news comes up, I'll also be here for that. But I will be back in a little bit. Like I said, 6, 7, 8 hours, whenever New Japan ends. That show starts in a little under 4 hours. So in that 4 hour span, I'm either going to take a nap or I might be back with some more Universe Mode stream. I'm almost to spring break in 2023. I just started year 2 of the deepest NXT and Performance Center Universe Mode along with WWE as well. So I got Raw and SmackDown. I got a lot of people who I think are big stars already called up. People like Tiffany Stratton and Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade and Cameron Grimes, Carmelo Hayes. I called them up to the main roster already. And that way, and when we get to the NXT shows, I have room that I can feature people like Hank Walker and Myles Borne and Saul Roca, who's yet to make her debut. So come check that out. I think I'll be doing that for the next 3.5 hours until New Japan starts. So I'll see you there. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll talk to you next time. Peace.